Hello there you, and welcome to the holy world of Antioch, where a large orc war is looking to do some crumping. So join me today as the Imperium of Mana try to defend its holy lands from the greenskin hordes. But before we do kick off today's fight, I just want to say a massive shout out to all you channel members who helped keep this channel going. And if you're not a channel member, why the heck not? Click the join button down below. And while you're at it, go ahead, check out the amazing ChaoticPinky store. We've got some really cool merch over there. All that being said, let's kick off today's battle. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. The orcs are in full swing here, charging towards the Imperials. The Imperials are doing exactly the same thing, charging right towards the Orky front lines. Now, the Imperials here have got a lot of firepower on the field here. They definitely do not have the numbers. It's almost a 10-to-1 ratio here. In fact, it's just over that. But hopefully the Imperials are going to use these Knightly Paladins and the Space Marines here to the full effect. Now, we have got Cadians with last guns on the field as well, so they're going to be pretty strong, as well as a couple of Space Marines. But of course, the orcs are not unprepared here, bringing millions of choppers. We've got Mega Knobs, shooters, and of course, the good old Storm Boys are in amongst the lines here. The first ball is now really starting to ring out. It looks like the Imperials have claimed the hill early here, sending the Kriegers over the top, right into that Krieger, into the Orky front line. And a brutal melee combat is starting to ensue here as our battle lines are finally drawn. You can see the last fire coming out of the Imperial lines here, ripping in to the front of the Orkies. A couple of Space Marines here trying to make their way up to the front, but they're getting bogged down. They're stuck behind all the Kriegers. If I was the Kriegers, I'd step aside and let these little menaces get to the front. Again, a couple of Dreadnoughts as well. These should be quite good and powerful on the front. But Orky numbers here are vast, so it really is going to come down to Imperial tactics here, being able to use their firepower effectively. You can see that the battlefield on this side is still stretching out. Now, what the Kriegers really need to do is they need to stretch out all the way to this trench line here. That will prevent the orcs from being able to outflank them. As you can see on the other side over there, we've hit the edge of the map, so there's going to be no outflanking maneuver there. But yeah, actually, it doesn't look like there's too many Kriegers coming to this side. You can already see that the orcs are gaining a bit of an advantage here because, yeah, the line's starting to bend ever so slowly. But yeah, Kriegers really need to get them reinforcements into the end here to block off this gap. Otherwise, we're going to have a little bit of an Orky flanking problem. Now, it looks like most of the firepower for the Imperials is going to be focused on the front lines down here. Look at that glorious, magnificent melee. Oh, it's just basically a back and forth at the moment. Both sides here vying for control. Neither really gaining any ground, though actually, I think with the firepower backing them up a little bit better than the orcs. See, the Orky dagger hasn't made its way to the front line yet, unfortunately. It's still somewhere like in the middle. Oh, there we go. We're starting to see these little puffs of smoke. I don't know if you saw that one then. So yeah, the Orky dagger is making its way to the front. It's just that the orc horde is so big that all the mad lads with the melee weapons went charging ahead. And of course, when you've got a big old shooter, you're a little bit slower than your average boy. But it's a glorious combat at the moment. Now, these Knightly Paladins are going to be providing so much cover and fire into this front. Every time you just see a gigantic hole appear in the orc line, like that one right there, yeah, that's the Knightly Paladin doing its work. Because the Imperials didn't bring any artillery here. They've got no tanks, so we are 100% reliant on their Paladins to provide us with that big, stompy fire support that the Imperials are famous for. You can see, though, that we've got a couple of Mega Knobs now making their way to the front. These are going to be a little bit of a problem for your regular old Kriegsmen here. That is if they aren't focused down. You can see, though, that the bolt of fire seems to be focusing down the Mega Knobs efficiently here. Anytime one of them knobs was getting to the front, a couple of bolt rounds are soon followed. Yeah, it's actually kind of a nice and peaceful on this side of the battlefield if you think about it, comparative to the rest of the war effort. There's no gunfire over here. It's just a pleasant little battle. Both sides vying for control. Yeah, like I said, almost serene. That's nice then. We'll see if the Imperials can hold out. Let's go over to the other flank though, because I want to see if the Kriegers managed to plug that gap. Oh no, they didn't. Look at that. Some purple orcs managed to sneak through here. The Imperials aren't even bringing up any reinforcements to this either, so I think this is just a permanent gap now in the flank. Hopefully we can get a couple of the fire teams to move over here, provide a little bit of covering fire, because it does look like the firepower for the Imperials is slowly starting to spread out from this center line here. But yeah, they did capture the hill early on, which is allowing the Soul Drinkers here to rain down death upon the Orky legions. I mean, look at this. This is the case of literally cannot miss. You just sort of point your gun in the general direction of the enemy, hold down the trigger, stick the clip under your armpit so it reloads, and off you go again. Oh, look at that. The Orcs there being actually beaten back on this front line here. And I think that is largely due to the fact that, yeah, we have got the Knightly Paladins providing cover, but we've also now got a bulwark of Space Marines on the front, as well as a Dreadnought or two. Oh God, and them Dreadnoughts are also extremely powerful. But yeah, one thing that we don't want is for this center line to advance too far forward, in which case the Imperials won't be able to keep up the covering fire. But what that might actually do is it might disperse the fire from the center lines. But yeah, it looks like the Orcs are really trying to capitalize on this flank. What we're going to do, quickly hit a little time-lapse camera here and let this little flank down the side develop a little bit more. I want to be able to keep an eye on that front line as well over there. So let's just move them up a little bit. There we go. We should be able to see the Orc flanking maneuver. I want to see that front line. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and look at this. The Orcs are managing to get a hold of this flank now. They've really pushed the reinforcements into it. This is going to be a slow decay here on the flank of the Imperium of Man. But I do want to point out this absolutely insane killing field that's going on in the center here. Look at how them Orc reinforcements are running in. They just can't get enough into this one area here. They are being absolutely gunned down in this horrible, horrible crossfire. There we go. The Imperials finally closing up that gap a little bit. But Jesus, yeah, the Orky reinforcements were really flowing pretty strong into that area. I mean, if you look at the rest of the line, look, it's a little bit static, the shuffling forward. But here, look at that. It's almost a full-on surge forward. I don't know what has been going on here. But the Imperials have been really concentrating some firepower for this to happen. But the front line is just this slow, brutal slog at the moment for both sides. You can see the Imperials are gaining ground. The Orky Dagger has now moved up and is providing some covering fire here. So yeah, the Imperials are starting to feel the burn just a little bit. You can see the Paladins also taking a little bit of a beating now from the stray shots. Although I would guesstimate that the Orky Dagger is probably trying to focus on them as best as they can, or the Space Marines. But yeah, we get these little pockets where the Imperials keep advancing forward. Again, Space Marines on the front line here being an excellent bulwark. Kept many of the Kriegers alive, but the line is starting to get real thin over here. Worryingly thin. And that might be because they've been advancing forward. As they advance forward, the line is going to get thinner and thinner here. Hopefully we can get some of these Krieger reinforcements from this side. It seems like we've got a big blob of Kriegers here. Some of you guys, move over here. We're desperately needed in the center line. Speaking of desperately needed, it looks like a bit of firepower is now starting to come over to this side of the field. Look at that. The Imperial firepower from the center now spreading out. And so is the Orky flanking maneuver here. Slowly chewing its way through the Imperium. Now, don't get me wrong, the Imperials on this side have done an excellent job of holding back the Orcs. I mean, you can see the advance that they've made here. There's all the bodies that have been left in their wake behind them. But yeah, that Space Marine fire, invaluable. Them bolt rounds, probably only 2 or 3 to kill an Orc here. If that. I would actually probably say it's about 2 bolt rounds to kill an Orc. And you can see that they are firing them quite quickly. But again, that last fire as well. The Cadians here with the last guns, man. Just these strong fire support bases. Look at that. Just absolute death ripping across the field here. Again, the nice, peaceful, serene flank. You can see the Kriegers have been advancing forward here. The Orcs taking a little bit of a beating, it must be said. 800,000 against 60, just under 60,000 though. And it is this flanking maneuver that I'm concerned about. You can see some of the Orcs though have come around and they're actually making a break for the Imperial gunner lines here. The Imperials caught unaware. A couple of Acadians about to be chopped up here. Now this will be interesting to see how the Imperials deal with this, because this is definitely going to detract firepower from the center lines. Will the Orcs be able to capitalize with that though? Again, this party here really worried about this. It looks like we might have a little bit of a breakthrough in this combat line pretty soon here. I'm trying to, oh god, look, it's all the Orc Daka that's built up here, man. They're rinsing off the Kriegers. The Kriegers are trying to hold them back, but the bullets just keep whizzing through here. What we're going to do, hit a tiny little time-lapse camera here, because I want to see the break in the line. We'll be back in a second. It's here, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening. The Orcs are breaking through the center line of the Imperials here. With just under 700,000 Orcs left on the field. The Imperial front line is starting to falter. We're down to only a couple of Space Marines on the front line as well. The Orcs are doing a real good job to get through these Assault Marines. These Assault Marines are absolutely insanely powerful. Able to kill multiple Orcs in each swing. They can also tank so much damage, it's unbelievable. Looks like we've had a really balanced fight in this part in particular. Neither side really gaining any ground. And you can tell that because there's an insane defilade of bodies that have been made here. Again though, look, we're starting to get these little thinnings of the Krieger line. Bit by bit, the Orky numbers are wearing down the Imperials here. And there we go, the Orcs starting to capitalize on that breakthrough. Krieger reinforcements are coming in here to try and plug that gap, but it has already been exploited here. The Orcs moving rapidly through, trying to surround the Krieger lines here. And honestly, they're doing it very successfully, despite the firepower coming out from behind them here. Oh my god, yeah, there we go. I think that Space Marine's just been taken down there, possibly. And with that, the Orkies have got almost a clear run. Look, that distraction of the firepower as well in the flanks with these Orcs trickling in. The flank is finally starting to collapse here, and rather rapidly. In fact, the entire Imperial line here is starting to collapse rather rapidly. The Orcs, 560,000 troops still on the field here. Imperials at 25k, but them 25k, man oh man, it is made up of Space Marines, Acadians, and Knightly Paladins. So yes, the Orcs are definitely still got a fight ahead of them here. The war though is in full swing. Tiok hands in the balance here. Can the Imperials defend it? Again, this line over this side, just nice and peaceful, really. There's nothing really going on, apart from this breakthrough in the line, which is what the Orcs might have been after. With this, they might be able to surround this group over here. The Imperials might find themselves in a desperate last stand. But yeah, the rest of the battlefield, in fact, this side is probably the most healthiest at the moment. Again, a nice spattering of Space Marines over here as well, keeping that line safe. But yeah, look at this. The Orcs are now surging forward here, making their way in towards the Knightly Paladins. And what the Orcs are going to find is that these Knightly Paladins can take one hell of a beating here. Absolute tank units. And let's face it, it's going to be hard for a chopper to take out one of these Paladins. Realistically, he's going to have to roll 666 to be able to do that one. Oh my. But look at this though. The Orcs now starting to spread across the Imperial fire line. The Acadians have actually backed up here. The Acadians forming a crossfire cover and retreat. But of course the Space Marines refusing to budge an inch. They will be the bulwark. They are the new front line. They're going to use their super strength armor here to hold back as many Orcs as possible, and hopefully that Acadian firepower will lend itself to the Space Marines and they'll be able to keep the orcs at bay. 400,000 orcs now remaining. Most of them focusing on trying to break down these paladins, and I cannot blame them, ladies and gentlemen. These guys have been providing so much covering fire for the entire round. I mean, just look at that, how many orcs they can take out with each single shot. It is ridiculous. They're so strong. But again, the orcs here starting to capitalize on the flanking maneuvers that they're able to pull off. Surrounding the Space Marines. We're going to have to collect some gene seed after this battle, it appears. Yeah, look at that now. All the reinforcements, the lads from the back, making their way through the breach. And this is where the Kriegers line is really going to get thinned out here as they try to bring troops in to protect that flank. Get though, we've got this really nice fire base over here for the Imperials. This has been stuck here the entire game, providing that covering fire. Well, it's sort of moved from over there down to this position, which is nice. So at least this side of the field did have some covering fire by the end of the round. But my god, yeah, we're already down to 300,000 orcs. They're getting absolutely dissolved on the front lines. What is happening here? The Imperial firepower is simply too much. The orcs not able to get their way through it, especially with these paladins still on the front line distracting them. I mean, you can see the orc piles starting to form in front of them. Truly gigantic here. Each paladin must have a couple of thousand dead orcs in front of me by now. Again, look at our Space Marines over here, refusing to budge an inch, holding that front line. The orcs charging in, trying to take him out, but my god, again, they're just piling up in front of him. The Space Marines are literally making foxholes out of orcs' corpse. Again, look at this though. You can see that the fickle men here have all retreated backwards a little bit and are continuing to do so. The orcs here, actually, that could be a really good tactic for the orcs. If the orcs keep trying to push this, it will push the Imperials back, which will isolate the Space Marines, meaning that they don't have all that firepower anymore. But I'm starting to get a little bit worried for our Orky brethren here. They are starting to capitulate this side of the field very, very slowly. But is it going to be enough? There's just under 10,000 Imperials left on the battle, 200,000 orcs. And I think the orcs are really struggling though with these paladins, man. And a lot of the Dakar looks to have already been taken out here. I suspect the Space Marines using advanced targeting systems here, trying to take out the Orky Dakar to prevent them taking out these paladins. Again, look at this. Just a defilade being made in front of them. It's magnificent. The Imperials are doing a bang-up job of defending this. Oh, look at this. We've actually cleared out this part of the line. No way. There's still a lot of orc reinforcements here. But again, they're trying to take out these Space Marines. You know what it's like to be an orc. You want to claim the kill on something, and a Space Marine is a damn good kill to claim. That's how you can become a knob. But I do think the orcs are going to successfully clear up this side of the field. Now, it's what happens here. Are these guys going to surge into the flanks, or are they going to surge the group over here? If the orcs start surging the group over here, that could be really good for the Imperials. Oh my god, look at this wide flank of orcs as well. They really are leaving the Space Marines to fend for themselves a little bit over here. The Space Marines, though, that covering fire, even with it diminished behind them, they're still holding their own. In fact, I think these knightly paladins are pretty much doing all the work at the moment. Let's face it, if the rest of the orcs, if these paladins went here and the rest of the orcs were able to charge the line, it'd be over for the Imperials by now, I think. It's just that, yeah, these guys have killed so many of the orcs now that I don't think it's possible for the orcs to actually do this. Again, that all depends, though, on what happens with this orky surge over the other side, because that is the vast majority of the orc horde, I would say, as well. That's actually going to be free. Most of them are committed to the fight over there now. But yeah, hopefully what happens then is this Imperial firepower here starts moving over that way just a little bit. Because yeah, I don't think the orcs are going to get through at this group here in particular, especially with the Kriegers now coming into that flank. I think this may be over, ladies and gentlemen. It's now all about pride for the orcs here. That's it, come on lads, finish off that group. We're taking losses here. Go crump some UBs over there, you deserve it. Go on, the nice, juicy, ready for the taking. There we go, lads, there we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. The lads, they're on the way. Oh God, and so's the firepower. Oh Jesus, the boys. No, not the boys. The lads storming in here into a hailstorm of death. They're closing the gap though, you gotta give them that. They're upon the Acadians here. But again, I think this is literally most of them now. We've got a few trickles of units coming in this way, but it is pretty much over here for the ORK WAAAGH. The holy planet of Antioch is still protected. Its knightly paladins still standing here. I think we've got a couple of trickles of reinforcements. Yeah, it's just that little group over there. Okay, so we have actually got a little group over here by the bunker and another one over there. But yeah, they're not really going to do much. Let's get back over to the main group of orcs over here. The last group of lads. Well, they did take out a few of the Acadians here by the looks of it, but ultimately, the Imperial firepower has been too much today. It'd actually be really great to get some Imperial Gargants in the Orky Gargants in this. I'd love for the Orcs to be able to have a counterpoint to the Imperial Titans and stuff like that. I'd need some war trucks as well. War trucks would be really cool to see on the field. But ladies and gentlemen, with only 6,000 Orcs remaining here, and most of them basically scattered all over the field, let's go take a look at our front lines here very quickly. Because yeah, we did some magnificent work here today. Look at that. This is where the knightly paladins piled up all the orcs here. Oh my God. Oh, the poor orkies. I feel so sorry for them here. But that was a magnificent defense there by the Imperials. It looked a little bit shaky in places. The orcs just weren't able to capitalize really on the advancements that they made in the flank. The firepower was just too much. But ladies and gentlemen, like all things, it's gonna come to an end. I do hope you had a blast. I know I have. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, until next time, peace.